cut the last breath from them.
All right. I need 5 people to join the enemy team real quick, guys. Stylish game, no password. Oh, here we go. So, UQE basic W, Cass. Go, at full HP. From 720 to 370. What is that? So he did 350 damage. He has 660. I did 330 damage. Right, Blast calling me. Let's talk with him. Hello there.
First of all, I hate your test. It was awful.
What do you mean?
Okay, so first of all, let's go through. Let's start with Kassadin. What
Sure.
range does Kassadin need to be in to do his combo that you had there?
Okay, sure, but I'm a melee champion, and when I lane against him, I have to be melee. In that sense, I could also tell that if he's behind minions, my Q will do reduced damage. Think about it.
I get it. It's like, all right, well, my character's melee, his character's melee.
Exactly.
But the thing is, Zed can proc electrocute from range with WE double Q, right?
Yeah, sure.
Can Kassadin proc electrocute from range?
Not a level 3, sure, but if he hits level 6, he procs it easily anyway.
Right, and so before your chat also flames me, I'll preface this with is Zed on the weak side? Probably, sure. I'll admit that.
Hell yeah, he is on the weak side.
Listen, at the end of the day, who do you trust more, right? Do you trust Riot? Do you trust, ULL Stylish, or do you trust Faker, right? And Faker said Zed's bad, so therefore Zed's bad. So I'm not going to contest that. But I will say, when we go through that sort of experiment you did, you're not factoring in like the other strengths of the champions, right? Like that's actually why you saw that Echo did less damage, was because Echo has strengths in his kit that are not just that initial burst damage, right? Like another thing you wouldn't factor in with Echo is Echo's ability to like clear waves with Q, right? Like that's
no, I get a lot of champions do different things, and they have like better dealing with this or better dealing with that, or they have wave clear, they have that. But like it wasn't really the point of the test. The point of the test was just to show that as a melee champion, I do the least damage in the whole game if it comes to all-inning someone at level 3. And if you go actually farther than that with Echo at level 7, if I back and I get a Dirk and he backs and he gets the equivalent, which is like a revolver, he'll literally double my damage. Literally. With the combo without even the shield. If I hit him, he's gonna double that. So I get what you're saying, right? They can't proc, like Kassadin can't trade from afar. But my point is that why is it when I lane against the Kassadin, at level 3 or at level 2, if I ever try to last hit a minion melee, I lose the trade. While the champion is supposed to get counterpicked by Zed, right? That's why I selected Kassadin in particular, is because he's a champion that is made to be against AP champion. And he's a champion that is made to scale better in the late game, right? But somehow he manages to outtrade me when I'm farming in the early game, like before even having the W, because he has that auto W trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. All right. What's going on, buddy? How's life?
I know, right? We jumped right into the subject, dude. How are you doing?
Yeah. Why not? I was coming in hot. How you doing?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, just so your chat knows, because like I pick up on some of the things they're like bitching about me at. So first of all, I do work on. I work with the balance team. I'm not directly on the balance team. Number one.
Sure. Okay.
Number two. There's a player who's like, like platinum, Riot, or lol, or like. Well, so first off, I ended the season D5, and I'm the most hard stuck player ever. I will admit that.
I mean, it's a lot better than the most balanced team, right?
Yeah.
We
First
agree
of all,
on that.
I know that's better than the vast majority of your chat, even though they won't admit it.
Yes,
because
that's true too.
I know the data on league breakdowns. I'll say this.
He has the data, chat. Careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. My job's not necessarily that I have to be super good at the game. There are people who I work with who are way better than me. The actual balance team, if I was to join like the actual balance team, I'd probably be the worst player on it, if not.
Really?
Worst.
You're telling me the balance team is actually like high elo players?
Yeah, most of them are diamond. Sicko Scott is on the team. He's masters. And then they work really closely with our playtest team, which is all diamond plus a couple challenger, couple masters. For instance, I think only one challenger this season. What's his name was on
Weekend?
No, well, Weekend's on it, yeah. So Weekend's on it, and then also what's his name, who is in the TCS in the Tyler 1 Championship Series, the guy who is God, why can't I remember his name?
I'm not sure, man.
He was in there. He's like he's a challenger jungler.
I wasn't invited to TCS, so I did not watch that shit.
Yeah,
because what?
Yeah, it was Hacks Defender. Yeah, because you're a
Hacks Defender. Oh, okay.
You're a Zed one trick. They'll ban that shit, and then you're like, then
I
you're
mean, as a
final, so.
caster or whatever, I could have. Anyways, moving on the subject because I'm about to cry.
I brought you some great stuff for your stream. I brought you exclusive Zed data.
Ooh, Z data. Like what? Like, tell me about it.
I'm gonna give you all the good shit. Okay, so yeah, to discuss my actual role at Riot, I work. I manage the team that does analytics and research for the team. So yes, part of that is we have a really talented analyst who gathers all the like win rate data. That's like win rate data by like champion, by we have actually really cool data that can tell you like how much gold champions are earning at different points in the game, like
Okay.
how it changes patch to patch, all sorts of delicious stuff like that. So but anyways,
Damn.
I have fun Zed data, and so a lot of the data we work with is sometimes we have what we would call like there's like behavioral data or like engagement data, which is like what people actually do with a champion. And then
Okay.
there's like the sentiment data, which is how people feel about a champion, them feels.
And then
And I'll tell you
feels.
something, man. People
I have a problem with them feels for sure.
yeah. Oh, here's the great news. I have good news for Zed players.
Woo! Great news, buff.
Yeah. I have such great news though. So
Thank God.
I can't say buff, but I'll say this: we have made so many other bullshit champions in this game that now people don't even hate Zed as much.
Oh,
So
really? Is that actually
yeah,
possible? Because I was
yeah. It's
checking the play rate, and he has literally the highest play rate in mid lane right after Yasuo. So I was like,
who's that?
that yeah. At
Yeah.
least Champion GG shows that Zed literally has the highest play rate in mid lane. Then it's Yasuo. So I thought that's why low elo players hate it. They always face it, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of low elo players really hate Zed and Yasuo. I mean, that gets into a whole other issue, which is that like it comes with a couple things. First of all, really popular champions are also oftentimes more hated because you see them
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And while it's not always the case, a lot of the most fun champions in our game are also the most hated, right? So like everyone's like, yeah, this person's like, he knows Aurelia, Aatrox, and Akali, bro. It's like, dude, like Aurelia and Akali are really fucking fun. Yasuo is
True.
really fun.
Yeah,
Zed is
sure.
really fun. If Malzahar and Zillion were played as much as those characters, it's not only that like they would be banned more, but no one would play League of Legends if people played Malzahar and Zillion as much because that shit sucks. Those things are so boring. Sorry to
I
any
agree.
Malzahar and Zillion mains. And this is coming from me, and I actually like I'd say I'm a hype beast player because I play like Yasuo and Aurelia, but reality is I climbed to Diamond just like hard spamming Zillion because yeah, fuck that champion.
Heart spamming for you. Oh, that's how you've used it.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, let's start with this. So let's start with a little bit of sentiment about Zed, about how players in different regions view Zed in terms of frustration. So we actually run this giant survey every year. Where
Sure.
not every year, we actually run it multiple times a year where we can basically measure how every single champion ranks against each other on
In
any number
hate?
of factors. Like, well, so like I can even tell you like what champions players want physical merchandise the most for, right?
Okay.
Like I can
Okay.
tell you the specific ones. It's Sona and Ari, by the way.
Sona and Ari?
Yeah, wonder why. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
so we can do this for stuff like that. I can one of the questions in there super relevant as we're doing more explorations with comics is we even have a question that goes into like what champions people want to see in comics, right?
Sure.
All sorts of stuff like that. But one of the questions we ask specific to League gameplay is about how fair a champion is to play against. And what's really crazy is like the regional differences for even a champion like Zed. Okay, so how do you think Zed stacks up amongst our 140 champions in terms of what players? Any players. And again, this isn't just hard stuck bronzes. It's a representative sample. So sometimes it's bronzes, sometimes it's golds,
Sure, I got you.
sometimes it's plat. What do you think they rank Zed at out of 140?
Top 5
For frustrating or for fair?
for frustrating.
Oh, for frustrating?
Yeah.
He's actually not that bad anymore. So I
Really?
think in previous versions he used to be way, way further down. So I'll frame it in terms of how fair he is to play against. And it's like, yeah, he used to be like in the 120s, 130s. Now we see. So I'll tell you this. It's interesting because there's 3 regions where he's all kind of hovering around the same area. So in Brazil, North America, and Korea, kind of giving us a representative sample of like good region, which is NA. You have your okay region, which is Korea. Brazil is kind of like a slightly better
Okay,
Korea.
region, which is scary. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, so they all rank him around. Brazil ranks him at 126 for fairness, all the way up to Korea, which is like 104. All of them put him like he's pretty much in like the bottom quartile for them. And then I look at China, and our Chinese players are like, nah, Zed's actually totally. He's like, they're like, yeah, he's 49th. That's fine, whatever. Like our
Huh.
Chinese, the Chinese players are really interesting because like super spicy characters like Zed and Yasuo, stuff like that. Like for instance, the most fair character in the game for them is Lee Sin.
It's actually true though.
Yeah, and the least fair character for them is Ivern. And like the reason for that
What?
is yeah, well, and like the reason is actually it's like it's less like I'm probably because I think when they look at the question, sometimes they don't even think like what's fair. They're just like, I like Lee Sin. Fuck
Yeah,
Ivern. That
yeah,
champion sucks.
yeah. Probably. I guess.
But in general, so even that example aside, in general, we actually find China and then also Korea somewhat to be a little bit less so, but especially our Chinese players are way more okay with our spicy champions. The best example of this was like Yasuo. Like in China, for fairness, they rank Yasuo at like number 26 or 27, I think.
What? Everyone complains about Yasuo everywhere.
And then compare that to NA where he's like 120th or something for
Okay, interesting.
Oh, this person asked a great question. How can you base your balancing on surveys? Come on. We don't base it on that.
I actually think, like logically, whether how people feel about a champion shouldn't affect how logically it shouldn't affect how you balance your champion, depending whether people hate it playing against him or not. Because like you should just base yourself on high elo or competitive. So if this champion can't put up with meta, then he's weak. So but I get for Riot Games, it's a bad move, right? You can't buff something that people hate playing against. It's just gonna cause people to quit the game or whatever. So I get it,
Yeah,
even though it's not
yeah,
logical.
yeah. I mean, I that person brings up a really good point. I mean, it's like, why would we ever factor in things like, should we factor in ban rate into balancing a champion? Should we, or should it only be win rate, right? Because if that's the case, Akali wouldn't be getting nerfed this coming patch. She'd be getting buffed because she's below 50%, right?
True.
Well, then someone would say, "Oh, you need to balance it for pro play." Okay, so we'd balance her for pro play, and then all of a sudden, like for everyone else, no one would ever, she'd always be super weak, and no one would really get to play her.
There's always champions like that, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna state Azir and Ryze are like the best examples. Back in I think last year or whatever, when they were really meta, and that's all you would see at Worlds, or not last year, maybe 2 years ago. Anyways, Ryze has like been really dominant in pro play and high elo. But his win rate was always like 45%, 46, because low elo players can't play that shit for, I don't know, they just can't play it.
I mean, it's actually a lot. It's actually there's several factors that come into like, yeah, it's like, do we balance for like the majority of our players, which the vast majority of our players are
I don't know,
bronze,
elo,
silver, and gold.
sure, yeah.
Do we balance for high elo, and if so, what is high elo, right? Like, do we balance for diamond plus? Do we balance for masters plus? And then even after that, it's like, do we balance for pro play, right? Which, balancing for pro play could like really screw over our lower level players. Whereas if we balance only for our lower level players, we really screw over pro play. So it's about, it's literally a balancing act of how we even
Yeah, no,
balance.
I get that for sure. Balancing is not easy task.
Yeah,
True story.
It's not an easy task, and I mean, and all the while, it's a team that just constantly gets flamed by people. Sorry, I don't mean to bring in the emotional side of that, but I mean, it's a tough
Yeah,
job.
it is a tough job.
But there's other factors even in there as well, right? Like when we're talking about Rise or some other characters, you have to figure out like sometimes it doesn't even matter. Elo actually is about team coordination, right? Like if you play certain characters with voice comms, they're just better.
True.
Ping is another factor. There's certain characters that we can watch their win rates go up and down based on the average ping of the user, which we can't necessarily control for that.
True.
Yeah, this guy's spamming Riot has feelings. Yeah, we do, guys.
I watched Mo play in Korea, and he was actually playing decent for the first time in his life. So definitely ping affects some champions.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Decent. Dude. Mo's, I listen, and as much as I hate Mo and fucking think he's trash player and nasally voice and super annoying, and just generally he's an awful person, I'll say this, dude, my boy was popping off in Korea. That shit was nutty.
Sure, I agree.
What else do you want to know about Zed?
To be fair, I prepared a bunch of things to talk about on the champion itself, but like I get that. I'm just gonna say what's unfair and what's fair. I get that you guys can't just balance him because I say that he's unfair, right? We cleared that area. There's a lot of data that has to be considered in. But like, let's talk about W.
Yeah, let's talk about W. W is where he throws out the knives, right?
Exactly. Now let me show you. Let me show you. I think I saved it. All right, perfect. Are you looking at my? Are you looking at my stream?
Yeah, I got your stream open.
All right. This is like a time where I tried to play Dark Harvest, But then I realized that you just couldn't play Dark Harvest because your champion didn't do enough damage and you couldn't get people to low HP, right? I'm just, look at the damage when I'm hitting both Qs. Okay, now that you have seen my damage in laning phase without Electrocute, and by the way, it does a little more damage with Electrocute, it still is hella weak. So my point is, why is it that, because my ability doesn't work like, I don't know, Akali's ability. Like, Akali's Shroud is literally a utility ability and only utility ability. Mine is an escape ability, sure, so it should be a high cooldown, but it is also my only way of trading in mid lane. Please don't say Q is good trading. It's sit behind the minion, you'll take 30 damage.
Q is a trade.
Well, you'll literally take 30. If you're playing whatever champion and I don't have my W, you can walk up on me. And if you hit any ability, you'll outtrade my Q.
By the way, I love that your chat's spamming like, lol, you trying to find a clip of you hitting Qs.
Well, I'm known for missing a lot.
What? So, I mean, in general, what I'm curious actually. In general, what do you think are like some of the like? So again, I think Zed is weak. I
All
think
right.
if you asked our balance team, they would agree that Zed is weak.
Nice. I knew you guys were smart.
If you ask Faker, whose opinion is above all else, they'd say Zed is weak. One of the things I was actually watching is just having seen your game previously. I was thinking, like, man, like, what if that was like an Aurelia with that many kills? Like, what the fuck would the
True,
other team do?
See? Yeah.
Right? Like, whereas like they actually could still win against you. But I think in some ways Zed's this is just my thought, and I'm curious about yours. I think Zed's design is like a little too sharp right now.
It has a lot of flaws, man.
Yeah, it's like when it does well, it does really well, and like when things all go according to plan, and when you execute well and snowball well, it goes really well.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Really? Okay.
I disagree with that. It's not true.
Let's hear your thoughts.
It's not true. But I was gonna get to that point, right?
Okay.
I just want to finish the other points, especially the W. So
Yeah.
you my question is, my only way of trading, getting Electrocute, like a real trade, okay, not just a poke, a little poke, or like a way of last hitting. My only trade is a 22-second cooldown, and I have to hit 2 skill shots, right? So why is it that Akali's Shroud has 21-second cooldown when my shit has 22? Why is it that mages can trade 2 times with me and a half before I can trade 2 times? Like before I get a second W? Like why is that one ability that does literally everything in lane has such a high cooldown? It's literally 4 seconds less than Windwall. It makes me sad thinking that. Like, do you not agree? Because sure, I don't mind if it was 22 seconds if the damage was noticeable. But the thing is, if I hit my shit and Orianna doesn't play the game where she tries to dodge, no, she just walks up forward, doesn't care about me, just gets her damage, I get my damage, we'll trade even, or she'll do more damage. But my shit is 22 seconds and hers is literally like, what's her cooldown on W for another rotation? 8, 10? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, like I feel like W cooldown could be a good thing for. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to like think of like what things I would change or like alter with Zed. I'm also thinking like what makes characters like fun to play without like ruining them. Yeah, I think if someone read like, oh, Zed's damage is buffed, all of a sudden they're like, oh god, fuck me, like I can't deal with that. But if we say, hey, like your W cooldown's reduced for a lot of people, they're like, well, he's not like doing more damage or anything. Whereas for someone like you, like, okay, that's more opportunities for me to like do a trade and for me to pass this skill test of trying to hit the double Qs. And like, I mean, that's why you play Zed, right? Like the joy of playing Zed is for like the main reason people play him is for manipulation with the shadows, for like the outplay with R and W,
Yeah, styling pretty
hopping
much.
shadows, and then like landing sweet double or triple Qs.
I
So
agree.
what we'd be saying there is, hey, during laning phase, which like laning phase is a really fun part of the game, right? We're saying, hey, the cool things that your champion wants to do, you just get to do them more. And like I think that's why some characters are played so much. That's why Yasuo is played so much, right? The most fun thing you can do on Yasuo
His dash
is
around minions.
just dash around. And guess what? Every single wave you get to just dash around. Whereas Zed, not every single wave do you get to like try and do your sick poke combo. Now, because it's maybe a stronger, sharper ability and the satisfaction of landing a W.
Okay, man. I
WQ.
haven't felt the satisfaction landing this combo in the early game for a long time. We're talking about more than a year. And I'm honest with you too. I'm 100% honest with you. Like I think if you're gonna put a cooldown that high on the champion and it's his only way of actually doing something, it either has to feel, like you say, rewarding, not getting outtraded after hitting everything, just like against the Rumble, or it having
You
a
have to be
lower
able to do it
cooldown.
more. Yeah.
Exactly. Like an 18-second cooldown like it used to be would be nice. 18
Yeah.
second, it's fair, right? You have an escape, that's fair. But bro,
No, I listen. I agree. Actually, I saw a really good comment from I think it was one of your subs in your chat. So I noticed your subs have better comments than your plebs. The plebs are just like this guy's just spamming like buff vein. Someone else called me retarded, and then there's all sorts of great stuff.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, no worries. It's fun. Hey, listen, I don't come on here to not be flamed. Wait.
True story. You are a rioter after all, so you're used to it.
Yeah, someone had said Zed's like it's like he's almost too rewarded when he hits like double or triple Qs and not rewarded enough when he misses them. And that's what I meant by like sharp designs. Like when he does something really well,
To the
it's almost like he does
hood.
it too well, but the frequency of it is like really uncommon. In fact, I'd be really curious about how much like Zed overkills targets. If you like, let's say you hit 6, you all in and you got 100 to 0 them with ignite. It's like if you all in at level 6 before they have like any defensive stuff and you land a triple Q like off an R, like it's not even gonna be close whether or not you kill them.
Sure, if they don't have armor and you hit a triple Q with R, they're dead. Yes.
Yeah.
But go hit a triple Q though. If the enemy champion just runs backwards, your R shadow will never hit a Q on them. So already if you just walk backwards to your tower, you don't have any threat of 3 Qs. You have 2.
Yeah.
And the person was saying hitting a combo is rewarding, not hitting it is not rewarding. You shouldn't be rewarded for not hitting something, and it's not rewarding enough to hit it. That's more I don't know what the guy in the chat is saying, right? It is
Yeah, no,
rewarding if you hit it and you bought lethality and they haven't bought armor. True.
Yeah.
That's when it starts being rewarding. It is not if they bought armor.
I would agree with that. I can't, again, can't disagree with Faker. So Zed is overall weak.
All right. Thanks, Faker, bro.
Yeah, Faker's got you. Ever since he put out that video, that put the pressure on us. It's the only
Yeah,
reason why I came.
I can't believe it, dude. I've been screaming my ass off for more than a year, and he does one video, and we're done.
Yeah, we didn't want to address it. In fact, honestly, the only reason they made me come on this stupid fucking stream is just because of Faker. Otherwise, I'd never talk to you.
What are you talking about, bro? You want to fight?
No,
So
I'm
what?
kidding.
Riot asked you to come here, though?
It was actually so great hanging out with you at TwitchCon, man. That was
Yeah,
sweet.
true. It was very fun. I was hella drunk, so I don't remember what we were talking about. I
Yeah,
just
same.
remember that one detail you told me about Zed, though, that I'm not sure if I should tell or not.
I don't know what I said.
It was your personal thought, I think.
Oh, it was my personal thought that he was weak and that we should buff him?
Or about him being the most fucked champion in season 8.
Oh, yeah.
Or
that was
the
my
champion that
personal-
got fucked
Well,
the most.
It's because, and people on my stream have said this, where it's like every now and then I get really I really feel myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play a game of Zed. So it's like, let's say I'm Zed and I dive someone under the tower and I fucking land this big juicy fucking combo, and then they stopwatch. I'm like, oh, cool,
Are you?
done. Like, what do I do? Like, all right, sweet, that's over. Whereas, let's say I'm Macaulay. I dive someone under tower, I fucking combo them, and they stopwatch under tower. And do you know what I do? I chill in my shroud.
Yeah.
Like without the tower hitting me, and I wait for my R2. I'm like, oh, you cast Zanya's? Perfect. That's just enough time for my R2 to come up, right? So yeah, I
That was
feel you on
exactly
that.
going to be one of my point too. Like, what was the fucking point of creating an item that every champion can buy, but that works better on some champions than others? Like, what was the
Right.
point of doing that? That actually made me so sad when Stopwatch came out, especially since it was free at 6 minutes.
Right, and that's why part of me almost, and I'm not saying this isn't me leaking anything.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we're making a rework or anything. So chat, fucking chill.
Ooh.
But that's almost why I feel like Zed. And when I say rework, I don't even mean like we change things drastically. If anything, we would change
He's
a
R.
bunch of numbers tuning, right? Like maybe I would turn down the like nutty overall damage he gets from like double Qs and triple Qs, but I'd lower his W cooldown. I'd lower his alt cooldown. And I basically say, hey, like the tools that he gets that are the really fun moments, like his ultimate, like his W, he can use more so that when you're like, oh, sweet, I have R, I get to fuck someone up and they like stopwatch, you're not like, well, fuck, I don't get to play the game now for another like, minute and whatever his cooldown is, right? You're like, oh, okay, I now know that's down. My R cooldown's coming up faster.
Sure, which is exactly what you guys did, actually. When the stopwatch came out, a few patches later, you guys buffed Zed by giving him absolutely no attack speed, 0.007, I believe. And then what you guys did was you lowered his RCD later in the game, not level 1, and you buffed his R damage, which doesn't do anything to Zed, actually, because most of the time that you are someone,
they're gonna die anyways. That's what I'm saying. It's
they're
like
gonna
overkill.
they have Zanya's, so like,
Yeah,
sure, you have your cooldown faster.
and that's what I meant by overkill. Is it's like Zed either has the damage where he's just going to like very obviously kill you, or you have some bullshit defensive item where you're gonna be fine. Like either there's a shield on the other team or a Zanya's that's going to just save you. So I think in that sense, Zed's design, and that's what I meant when I said Zed's design in today's day and age is a little too sharp. And part of the issue with that is that we've, I think, generally made a lot more characters that don't have as sharp of a design, right? Like, look at Camille's design. Like, what does Camille do poorly?
What does Camille do poorly?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I feel like that champion is designed to catch you. Her E, her R, her W, like
Insane mobility, insane utility, pretty good sustain damage. Actually has a
Uh-huh.
lot of defensive capabilities.
1000 true damage late game.
She can run you down. She has an invulnerability frame when she
Yeah,
Rs.
just like Zed, yeah.
Yeah, like she does so much really well.
I agree.
And that's what I mean by she's not very sharp. She's just, generally good at a lot of things.
TBH, the problem is how much counterplay you have. If you look at Zed, you guys have put in all his damage into his Qs and his R. In the previous patches, you managed to remove his attack speed and his auto attack power. You managed to remove his E damage, and his passive is becoming more and more irrelevant, and it does AP damage when everyone has armor and you have lethality, so that shit does no damage either. So the damage that comes out from Zed is his R that is blocked by Zanya's multiple abilities like Fizz E, Camille's R, Fiora W, and the list goes on, GA, whatever. And then you got his Q, which is a skill shot that you have to hit multiple times, which is also dodgeable. This is why I always ban Kaisa. If she presses R or W, she will dodge my Qs, and I won't do anything. So the problem is, here we go, like, both his damage abilities and his only real, like, abilities to kill you have insane amounts of counterplay. While against Camille, what is your counterplay, right?
Yeah, even Nakali is another great example. Like, there's not that much
Exactly.
counterplay to that character.
Exactly.
Although, don't worry. Hey, listen, we're gonna. Don't worry, chat. A little bit of spoilers. We got stuff coming for Akali. Don't worry. And I love.
Oh.
By the way, I love Akali, man. If you're an Akali player, like, you definitely want us to do stuff to Akali because A, if we don't, she's either just gonna be banned all the time, or B, she's just gonna sit at a really low win rate. I'm not saying we're reworking Akali. We're tuning some things. Anyways, for Zed, we just reworked.
I felt jealous, man. Why does Akali not have? Why does Zed not have the treatment that Akali has? I feel like that champion, even pre-rework, has been on top of the game for a while, just like Irelia.
Well, because Zed doesn't. I mean, like, if we look across the entire player base, Zed doesn't have nearly the problems Akali has. Akali's suffering. Like, when I actually, Akali is suffering. She's suffering from a horrible ban rate. She's suffering from really low power at certain elos. And she's suffering from, like, a lot of power higher up. So she's like, which causes issues all over the place. So
you're telling me that she's really effective in higher elo, but she's bad in lower.
wait, when someone says low, yeah, your chat's like freaking out about low power. Like, Akali's win rate at low elo is horrible, right? And
Yeah,
I
but
know,
that's because they can't play the game.
yeah, and like, oh, low elo doesn't matter. It's like, well, it still matters for
No, it does.
like,
I agree, but they just can't play the game though.
yeah.
Like, if Akali is a fine champion, if you master her, what would you make her better for, like, low elo? Just if you can't play it, you can't play it, right?
I mean, listen, like, so here's a great example of, like, and so your chat's like freaking out about me. It's like, if I was to change something out of Kali, and I'm not saying we're doing this, I would look at areas of, again, I'm trying to maximize how satisfying the fun moments of her play while reducing the shit that either eliminates some window of counterplay or that, like, is really frustrating for people. So again, I'm not a designer. I'm not the one who makes this call. I would get rid of her invulnerability under tower.
For sure.
It's really unintuitive. That's a safe zone for people, right? Like, that's like we've been programmed in our little League of Legends reptilian minds from years of play that tower is safe. And all of a sudden, she's just chilling there, fucking bullshitting you.
It's not even because I'll tell you that right now. This has nothing to do with the tower not being able to see her. It has something to do with how much she can do in that period of time, because how her trade works. Her Q has no cooldown. She can proc it 3 times, which means 3 passive proc, which means you're about to be dead or dead. That's the problem. That's why people are frustrated. It's not because the tower doesn't have counterplay. It's because when she does that, you literally get fucked. You have to give up the minions.
Yeah.
Unless you're strong, you have to literally run away from your tower and give up all the minions, and she just wins.
So again, I would do something like that. I would also say, hey, listen, when you're in your shroud, something that I think is really frustrating for people is Akali pops out and does damage to you and then runs away back into her shroud and, like, fuck, I didn't even get an opportunity to, like, cast an ability or, like, deal with that. And so I'd be like, hey, like that moment where after she pops out of Shroud, that lasts longer. So you actually have some time to then react to her. And then her Shroud, and here's the thing, if I nerfed her in these ways, then I could buff her and give her power in other ways that would feel good to
Sure.
the Akali player. Maybe her Shroud, for instance, lasts shorter by default, but can last longer if she's doing these trades where she's exposing herself, right? And exposing herself longer. So that's what I do with Akali.
I get it. I get it. But yeah, chat flames you because that's what I'm saying. Like Akali has been on the spotlight for so long. Before even getting nerfed, before even getting reworked, TF Blade managed to show us how strong that shit was. So like she's been on the top of the game for so long, in high elo at least. You're saying that it's not the same in low elo, but in high elo, she's been so strong for so long that's probably why chat is flaming you.
Yeah.
Because like we haven't had that chance as Z mains for so long, and she has been there for so long, but she's still, people are still, right, is still working on her.
Yeah, and chat, for the record, obviously there's like different opinions about what people think is cool in pro player, like what they want to see. Like, you know, Faker mentioned it. Like literally one of the coolest moments in pro play is the Z versus Z. Everyone always talks about it. It's like,
That's exactly why now Galio is meta mid lane.
yeah, but like what do you guys think? What do you guys think, like you guys think like Riot? You guys think I sit at my desk and I'm like, no, do you know what the peak gameplay is mid lane? It's Malzahar versus, I don't know, fucking Galio. And I'm like,
Exactly.
oh my god, look at the plays. Look at the moves. And like, no, I'm fucking want to see Malzahar versus Galio, right? Like,
Yeah, but you guys managed to default every time before every Worlds, except past last year. Every Worlds, you change your meta to AD carry stuff and like tanky comps with supportive mid laners. Every World Championship. The exception of that one when...
except this last one. Yeah, which was hype, and I think people actually really liked watching.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it was hype. There was a lot of champion picks. Yeah, sure.
In general, what I'd like to see us do for 2019 and what I'm really excited about is I'd like us to look for more opportunities to bring up the satisfaction for a lot of characters without suffering like huge balance or win rate issues or stuff like that. So like, you know, I get spammed by Katarina mains all the time about certain things we put onto her with like, especially with Shumpo, that like, yeah, I actually think we could change this. There's someone even said something about Zed, which was like, what's the whole mechanic with his R where you can't insta cast R back? I'm like, what if we just reverted that? It probably would bring a lot of satisfaction to Zed, and it wouldn't really tilt people playing against Zed that much, right? Like, I think there's so many small little things we can do to so many champions that could just make them all feel a lot better, and like really wouldn't impact their win rates too much.
I mean, that's like the last thing I want you guys to do, because this just removes counterplay from the champion in the spot where it should have counterplay.
I think Zed has counterplay elsewhere though, because a lot of the counterplays after he's already casted are I think part of the issue, and again, maybe we leave that in if we do those other changes, but part of the problem is that is so much of the counterplay is also in like what items people build, what champions are also in the game. Like it turns out that Lulu is just one giant piece of counterplay to Zed, right? Like
True. I mean, laning against Lulu is a lot better than laning against Aatrox or Urgot right now.
Right. More so than other champions can counterplay others, right? But
yeah.
Anyways, this is Riot officially saying Zed is weak. I'm not announcing buffs or anything like that, but like.
But you did earlier. A little bit.
But yeah, I'll talk to some people.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'd like to see us do that. I mean, especially because I think there's a lot of characters that could just use some love, use some tuning and tweaking that would make them feel better.
I like how you're talking about how fun, like how something makes the champion fun. Where I feel like, yeah, sure, there's that, but I feel like there's nothing more fun and satisfying in this game than like, you know, just outplaying the person because your kit is as good as their kit. So if you play it better, you get the edge, and that's fun, right?
Yeah,
that's a feeling I haven't got in a while. Like I think the champion, the way it is with the lore, with like it already has an atmosphere of playing it that is already fun or not. It depends if you like that or not. Not everyone is a Z player because not everyone identifies to his story or to his playstyle. Some people just prefer being in the back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the identity and fun that comes out with it, and the fairness and your ability to outplay and outmaneuver should be what's making it more fun, right?
And here's the thing that I think a lot of people forget is like, well, there's 140 champions in our game, and sure, some champions have bigger like pools of people who play them, bigger player bases. But like, man, for every single champion in our game, even the like 3 Aurelian soul mains in the world are probably spamming rioters like every day for about the ace hole nerfs, right? Like,
yeah.
every single champion has a super devoted group of people who always it's like lobbyists. They always want what's best for their character,
For
even if it
sure.
might, and they don't care what's best for League necessarily
Yeah,
long
for
term.
sure, for
It's
sure.
like, and a lot of this we have to balance. I mean, like, to give you an idea, there's a dude who, ever since we nerfed Yorick, this dude has been messaging me on Twitter he direct messages me on Twitter every single fucking day. Just the same thing, just buff Yorick. And let me fucking see how long he's been doing it. He messages me, but he just did it 4 hours ago. He has messaged me buff Yorick for
Shout out
fucking
to
go
that
back.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
And you know what? This isn't even me as a writer complaining about. I fucking love that.
Tell
You know,
him
I
about the
love
Mordekaiser
how
and the
passionate
shield
people get
rune.
about the champions and stuff. Man, it's I don't know, man. It's hard work trying to like keep everyone happy. Anyways, I
Sure.
have some. Let's get to some fun Zed facts that aren't contentious or anything. You ready? You ready for some fun shit?
Okay, finally.
All right. So you talked a lot about like the kinds of, like, the sort of motivations of the kinds of people who play Zed. This is actually really interesting. Zed is one of the most diverse champions or like most diverse is what I'm trying to think. God, what would even be a good word to describe this? Maybe stratified in terms of
Stratified.
how much people play him or like him based on the player's age. So when we look at players rating that Zed is one of their favorite champions,
Okay.
based on their age, if they're like anywhere, if they're in like their teens, he's like the 7th most popular. They've like young kids
For sure.
fucking love Zed. Think
Because
about
they
it, like,
watch
you're going,
anime, bro.
yeah, you're in high school, you're watching Naruto,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
you're mad at you're mad at mom. She won't give you a fucking credit card to buy Project Zed, right? And like you play shit. So now we get to the age group of 21 to 25-year-olds, right? So these guys are in college, you know.
That's me. That's like me. Okay.
Yeah, they still reminisce about Zed, you know. They still reminisce about anime, shit like that. They rank Zed. Now all of a sudden he's dropped. Now he's only the 23rd most liked.
23rd.
Yeah, then all of a sudden you get to people like me, right? So people in the age group 26 to 30. All right, now we're in the real world. We have jobs.
The real world.
You know,
Okay.
yeah, we're disillusioned by by the economy. You know, there's trade wars going on with China, and I don't know, all sorts of stuff going on.
And you guys feel bad about life, so y'all
Yeah,
the Jana players that just want
I
the
go,
emo.
I go on to play League, and I'm like, I just want to get a W. So, all right, now Zed's dropped to 40th. Okay.
40th. Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Now we get into our age group of 31 to 35-year-olds. So they're just me, but now they have like beer bellies, and they put Zed at 50th. And then all of a sudden you get into like dad territory where like you're trying to keep your kids away from anime and all the debauchery that comes with that. So you're 35 plus, Zed drops all the way to the 100th most liked.
Oh, really?
Crazy, right? He goes from 7th to 100th across the age groups of League players. Isn't that crazy?
I think actually it's really logical. Kids watch anime, like you said, and then people that are dads and shit are too old to play fast enough to play Zed. So it all makes sense to me, honestly.
Exactly. I know you literally nailed the two biggest reasons. It's about the thematic fantasy that people want, and it's also about the ability to like execute that, right? Like the younger kids, they love their fucking wind samurais, their shadow ninjas. They want to play that shit. You know, the older people like the more like, I don't know,
Lux.
Interesting. They like the interesting and unique. No, they like the Cajun catfish,
the
the Tom
Jacks.
Kench.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they also just can't press buttons as fast. So they're like, yeah, fuck it, I'll play Malzahar.
Exactly.
Let's oh, I have some other fun facts for you. So listen.
And then I'll get to when you're done, I'll get to all the other side because I know I held you for a long time. I'm gonna pass quick.
Yeah. So I have bad news for you. Unfortunately, despite being such a good-looking person, you know, you're playing Zed, and Zed actually is one of the characters that has a very big difference between how much male players like her versus female players.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Female players like Zed?
No, they don't.
Oh.
Not as much as males.
For sure. I mean, female players. First, if you remove the e-girl support players, it's already 75%.
Okay. We're not. Hey, listen, we're not getting into that. It's just fun facts. No, so for I mean, these are just interesting like demographic differences, right? So for males, she falls at, for males, Zed falls at 11th, and then with female players, she's all the way down at 50th. And we actually see for a lot of characters. Guys and girls are like actually really similar with like where they rank them, and then some they're just like very different. And Zed is one of them where we see really big differences. A really interesting one is like those differences actually go away sometimes depending on region. Yasuo is one where globally we see like a pretty big difference between how much how much guys and girls like Yasuo. But in China, it's like almost the same. I mean, there's cultural differences over there, right? Where like I
Sure.
mean, like I think it's just way more acceptable
And
for girls.
Yasuo looks like such an Asian champion to you.
Yeah, I mean, we see that as well. I mean, I can get into that in a second. But yeah, like when we go to China, I mean, like gaming's just like competitive gaming is just so much more accepted for everyone there. And I remember when I was it's a couple like 2 years ago, I was testing. We were doing playtest of Runes Reforged in China, and I remember for like the high elo group, we were playing with like Diamond Plus Chinese players, and like a good number of the group were girls, and there was like one girl. Like they basically kind of assume like the PC cafe culture where like they'll all talk to each other, even though there's no, because they're all in a room together and they'll just like
that's
sort of
sick.
talk. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. But like, this one girl just sort of assumed the role of shot calling. She was playing Fiora top, and like, dude, it was just so interesting to see their culture versus
Yeah.
ours. Because like she's playing this like Fiora top, and like she had like a nice like outplay and like a one. It was like she had like a 1v2. She had an outplay and traded 1-for-1. Then she just like turns to her jungler and she's like yelling at him in like Chinese or some shit. Like some guy she just randomly met. And I asked Charles, I was like, what'd she say? He's like, well, she basically called him a fucking idiot and that he needed to come and gank her land. Some shit like that. I was like, man, like, yeah, though. It's really so it's really cool to like see how those things go there. And yeah, you're right that we do see like a lot of regional differences based on champions, just by thematic, right? Like a lot of like China and Korea, some of our eastern countries like the more eastern aesthetics more, like Zed, Yasuo, Lee Sin, etc.
Yeah, that's expectable for sure.
So people are like female Chinese as Shinshin. Holy shit.
I mean, that's what it is apparently, dude.
Right through the Counter Strike.
Right through the college.
Anyways, what'd you have for me at the end? What were you gonna say?
All right.
Those are my fun Zed facts.
Oh, I mean, it was good facts. It was good facts. I remember that. I'll use that for YouTube somehow. Okay, bro. So let's talk about racism at Riot Games, but not about the champions. I have a feeling that assassins are literally like discriminated, and bruisers are like the favorite white privilege, blah 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 bullshit. You can tell, right? Do you agree with that statement or not?
Disagree.
Disagree. Okay, sure. So I read the preseason 9 article that was saying, oh, blah 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 thing. This is the new thing. This is the new runes. This is the shards. And then they briefly went on explaining why they, I think, didn't put lethality shards. And they went on talking about assassin, and they were saying, oh, I mean, the problem with assassin is really hard to balance. If we have, for example, a Rengar that gets fed, he just stomps hard, carries the game. And if he doesn't, he just becomes so useless, right? So it's hard to balance. And I was reading that, crying at the same time with like both eyes. Seriously, bro, you're telling me that a Jax fed will not 1v9 like a Rengar would? Except that a Jax, when behind, will not be useless because he could just keep pressuring, he has the stun. Talia is a mage. When she's fed, she will literally one-shot you if she hits you with the Seismic. Every champion in this game, especially bruisers, Irelia, Camille, 1k through them, if you're fed, you're one-shot. If you're not, and you're not an assassin, but you have abilities that are like utility, Windwall, CC, Shield, you will be relevant even if you're behind. Assassins don't have that, at least most of them. LeBlanc can still kind of be relevant. If you're like 0-2 lane, you can gank with your chain, you're relevant. But most assassins don't have anything to be relevant at if their damage is low, while other champions do, and they're as effective as an assassin when they're fed. Now, do you agree more with that statement?
Yes.
I don't see a difference with the fed Kimi and the fed Rengar.
Yes, I agree. Next question.
Jesus Christ, dude. You really have to go far so that Riot Games agrees with you. I'll tell you that right now.
You know what's interesting about that is like I think like that does get into the point about like why there's a degree of like difference in what people see as like strong or frustrating versus others. It's like, yeah, like when an assassin comes and like shits on you, like
It's
actually
frustrating.
here's the best example of this. Imagine Zed at 56% win rate.
Okay.
What would that world be? People would fucking flip their shit. They would like die if Zed was ever at 56%. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Janna sat at like 56% win rate for like
a
few months once.
Sure.
No one bats an eye.
I see what you're saying. And that's actually true. When a mage one-shots you, people don't get as frustrated.
Does Janna have as much agency necessarily as Zed? No.
But she's also a support, though. So like,
Yeah, right. There's a
what
lot of
doesn't kill you doesn't frustrate you.
exactly. There's a lot of caveats in there. I mean, that's why like I'm pretty sure Zillion has been one of the highest win rate mid champions for so long. Like, are you necessarily going to be able to just carry games on Zillion as you would maybe on Yasuo or Zed? Probably not, right? But you're just
Definitely
going to
not.
consistently win more because he just does. He just clears waves, which is really strong. He randomly stuns people, which is really strong. He slows people, which is really strong. He revives your dumbass teammates, which is really strong. Um, he just offers a lot of consistency to the game. And you're right, assassins in general as a class are just not as consistent. And because their high moments are super frustrating for other people, that's what leaves people to like when assassins get like slightly over 50%, people freak out. So again, I'm not saying we're doing anything about this. I'm just gonna say I
Yeah,
agree with you.
sure. Because I know you can't really be like, you can't develop the point. You can just agree, sadly, but it's fine. Moving on to more about the bruiser. And are you look at my screen? I'm hovering Sterax right now, okay, which is a beautiful bruiser item that makes all these bruisers so nice to play against. Now, if I compare the because they go like Triforce and Sterax, and these champions have so much base damage that all they need is some sort of attack. Like they either have high base damage and high attack speed, and just like auto, or high base damage and true damage, like Fiora Kimi. So like, look at Sterax. It's about 300 gold more than Yomu's, but it gives 5, at least when I build it on Zed a little later, it gives like 5 more AD. It gives me 60. So I'm assuming if you build it early, you get what, 50, 45 maybe? Not sure. But later on in the game, it'll give you more AD than a Yomu's, right? So then you trade off the 10% with the 18 lethality and the movement speed passive for 450 HP, and then passive that'll give you like 750 HP. I feel like this item and this are like not comparable in terms of strength. They're just so far apart. Like, why is it that a tanky-ish item that main ability is to give HP and more HP as a shield has as much AD or more than the lethality item? Like, sure, I get it, we get 18 lethality on top of that, but still, like, why are bruisers given these free AD while they get so much tankiness out of it for such a little price, while assassins get this garbage and the lethality scales?
Sorry, you were doing math, and I kind of just blacked out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You're not gonna talk. You're not gonna like when I talk about Red Smite then.
Oh God, we.
Oh
we
God,
we have to get through that too.
Oh yeah, bro, that one will be fast though.
I feel like Starix might be overtuned. I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly, this is where I'm gonna be. Like, I'll admit, because I'm just a shitty, hard stuck, high plat, low diamond player. I'm not as great at talking, and I'm not necessarily a designer, so I'm not as good at talking about the specific item balances. I'm better at talking about like general. I don't know. I can't speak to Sterix versus Ghostblade specifically, but I can speak to more general things. Your chat keeps posting this clip of you. I'm gonna talk about because your chat keeps posting.
Let me watch it.
The one of you versus Garrett. Yeah, play that.
Oh,
That's
beautiful!
amazing.
This is another bruiser right here.
I love this clip.
You see how bad he outplayed me here? Look at that, dude.
Dude,
wow,
this guy's insane.
Yeah, dude,
yo, fucking rookie, the shy. They need to move over.
Oh, fucking plays. Do you see his fucking items too, dude? If he built full lethality and did that to me, I'd be like, fair. The fucking guy built Black Lever and Triforce.
Dude, I don't like the villain mechanic on Garrett. So you were the villain.
I don't like. Yeah. Sure.
Because it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you're the villain, he literally just does dumb, unfair shit to you like that.
It's unfair, indeed.
Whereas if they're not the villain, it's like, and Garen's playing in some top lane, it's like, cool, like this just became so much harder, and then it's like, oh, they're the villain, cool, I just win this lane.
Exactly. Okay, bro. Now for real, this is still like item talk, but this is like it's not even hard. Like, we're not even gonna fucking talk numbers, right?
Oh, sick.
This is Black.
I can probably stay woke.
I want to talk about Black Lever, dude.
Hell yeah.
Which used to be an item that I always pick on Zed, and it was nice until Riot Games preferred to make it a better item for bruisers, as usual. So they took it away from assassins / aggressive bruisers like Riven, and they made it better for people like Darius and Olaf and blah blah blah. Just the thing is, it's just so illogical. to how you guys made this item. Like, my main problem with Black Cleaver SZ is when I build it, I'm stuck with 15 AD up until I finish the whole item, okay? Is that, so far you're with me, right?
Yeah.
Because Phage gives 15, and then Kindle Jam gives nothing.
Just careful with the numbers, otherwise I'll pass out.
We're just 15, and that's all we need.
Okay, all right.
And magically, this 15 gold turns into more AD. I mean, this 15 AD turns into another 25, plus armor pen, which is built through AD. If you look at any item that has lethality or armor pen, the stat of armor pen is created by AD, because it's like the closest thing to armor pen, right? It's damage. Like if you look at, I don't know, LDR, the armor pen is created by a double AD item. So how the fuck does 1,000 gold transform the item into a bonus 25 AD and a bonus armor pen item? Can you guys just put it back to Phage Warhammer like he used to be, and it just makes more sense, and Zed can build it better instead of being really, really weak with the Kindle Gem and the Phage up until you finish the item? Because let's state another fact. It's our only reliant way of having CDR as AD champions. We have Youmuu's, we have Dusk, and then we have Black Cleaver. That's all we have. We don't have Triforce. We don't, you know what I mean?
I think we want Black Cleaver to exist as like that core item for a lot of bruisers. So without saying that Zed can't build it, what I'd say is maybe that means,
well, you can build it, but you're so trash before finishing it, and that's not
so I'd say, like, what if we make maybe Assassins? Maybe this is actually a good point. Maybe Assassins don't have that really good like one core item. Like right now, Stormrazor is the core item for a lot of marksmen.
Carries, yeah.
Triforce or Black Cleaver is the core item for a lot of bruisers. And then like the Lost Chapter items are that, or Roa are the core items for a lot of mages. I wonder if,
well, we have Youmuu's or Dusk, except
Youmuu's or Dusk, but it's like you guys kind of have like a choice between the two, but it's like, and like I guess they're situationally better, but I'm like I almost wonder if like,
I honestly think the first items are fine. Like path items are fine. They're just really weak on Zed because he does no damage.
Yeah.
But if you put this item like a Youmuu's in the Kha'Zix or a Dusk, he will do his job. If you put one item Pike, he will do his job. If you put one item Talon, it's more than enough for him. But if you put one item Zed and the person rushes armor, then it doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
Or like a stopwatch because it counters his kit.
And ideally as Zed, you're actually a lot stronger early, so you can actually.
Oh yeah. Let's talk real quick about that. What I wanted to show you, dude, is as a melee assassin, you should have a decent win rate in mid game, or your strength should be mid game. Your early game shouldn't be bad. Your mid game should be good, and you should fall off late game. That's usually been the curve for melee assassins. I'm not saying it is true for everyone, but
that looks terrible. Yeah, that graph
this is Zed's win rate, and this actually falls right where what I tell the chat. We need Youmuu's, Dusk, LDR, Boots, which is 4 items, which you get if you have a good game at 25 minutes. And if you have a bad game at 30 minutes, and this is when his win rate gets higher, because his late game is actually really strong in my opinion, but his early game is hella garbage, and his mid game is the worst you've ever seen, even though you're not, like, what's the point? What is the point for me to lock Zed in high elo when I'm going to be useless until late game on a melee champion instead of locking, I don't know, bro. Ari or anything else that will scale to the late game.
Yeah, I agree. That graph looks literally inverse of.
All right.
I feel you.
Also, you guys have been talking about fucking making that's a season 7 thing. You guys have been talking about making the game more about the player decision, like runes and stuff, like this player plays like that, this player plays like that. So you guys have been trying to diversify the way people build, the way people play runes and mastery, so that they fit their play style or whatever they're facing.
Hell yeah.
So for example, GP can play, I don't know, there's champions that can play with Klepto, and in certain other matchup they'll play with another rune, and in certain other matchup they'll play with another rune. Rice can do that, like Riven can do that.
Hell yeah.
Champions can do that.
Hell yeah.
Why the fuck does my champion can't do that, dude? Why is it? I've been trying so bad to play Dark Harvest because it's so fun, and it's potential late game. You've been talking about fun earlier, dude. Late game, when you get that Dark Harvest reset and you're one-shotting multiple people, it just chat goes poggers and thing. It's beautiful, but I can't play with Dark Harvest because I lose lane every time, and that's a damage keystone. If I go to any other keystone, my team's gonna 4-man report me, and I get banned. Not even joking. And the build path is the fucking same. You have to go for the lethality items that you guys have created, else you're hot garbage. Because the way it works is you build it, and when you have all of them, or if you have some of them and they don't have armor, you do a lot. If they have armor, you do nothing.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, you guys.
I wish assassins had more build variety.
Oh yeah, you guys.
I agree with that.
You guys have also balanced Zed and some other champions towards what they build and what, like, you guys have literally balanced Zed damage on. I feel like, now I'm not saying it's truth, so that chat doesn't be like, but like, I feel like you guys have been doing math using the items, and like, let's say you guys want to see if Zed does more damage or does little damage. You guys take electrocute and then get your test done, and you're like, okay, this is enough. When it shouldn't be like that. When runes and stuff should be like, or build path. Like, you guys have created Duskblade and Edge of an Eye, which, by the way, are two terrible items for the designer. Let me tell you why. The one thing to counter Assassin is Vision, and they just manage to know wherever the wards are, whatever, and can take him out. And the second best way to counter Assassin is to CC them, and you guys create a bunchies for them, instead of just making their kit fair, let them build whatever the fuck, and if they get countered, they get countered. If they don't, they don't. Or if the Ari is good enough to charm me after my R, then, I mean, she should kill me or I should fail. Instead of locking Edge of a Night up, I don't have flows anymore. Now assassins have no counterplay. It's fucking dumb, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're following me on this one.
I mean, I think part of the counterplay is like looking for opportunities to proc the Edge of Night before you hit like whatever your primary CC is, right? Like that's sort of the, like, let's say I'm a Talon that like go and I'm like looking to like assassinate the AD, right? Like I'm basically trying to like put more of the skill check then on like the Lulu, right? So like the Lulu is next to her AD, and it's like, well, she has to now like pop a Q, or she has to like have like a little bit of like time, or she has to basically wait before she's going to polymorph, or she has to now like think about how to play that differently. And so it's like they've put a little bit of that burden back on the other person.
Sure, but in a 1v1 it's not fair, and most assassins that are decent will not be seen before they go in. A Talon will be on the side, a Zed will be on the side. You always want to flank in team fights. A Rengar will be invisible, a Kha'Zix will come with his R. You don't necessarily have the chance to take on the shield before they do the damage with you, and that's why they're assassins. They have ways of going on you before you can do anything. Now if you're in low elo and you're terrible and you're sitting with your tank and you're going in a team fight in front with your team and hitting the tanks first, then you're just bad. But most assassins will come from a side, will do a flank, and in a 1v1, it's just not fair.
But again, you said one of the big counters to that is vision. So like assuming at this point in the game when they have those items, your team has established vision on your flanks, and you're like, oh, but they're just going to clear it with Duskblade. It's like, well, Duskblade procs, they clear something, then they know where you are because you've cleared it there. Then it's on your support or someone else to establish vision on that side again. Like I think at this point in the game, we are actually talking about sort of a little bit of a cat and mouse of like their team, if they don't have the assassin, trying to move forward, establish vision lines, and basically make it so that they can't allow for a really strong flank from the Talon or the Zed.
True. Your point is actually valid. Good point. Good point.
And like on that one, I think I push back. A lot of these, when I agree with you, I'm like, I generally agree with a lot of. I think you're a smart dude, and you have like a lot of good thoughts on this.
Thank you.
I think there are other designers at Riot who actually probably would disagree with you. I just, for a lot of this stuff, I can't agree or disagree super strong because I actually don't work on some of the specific tunings of items or the specific tunings of stuff like that. I'm more like in charge of understanding the general direction of the game and understanding the data and sentiment behind like broader things for our game.
Okay, so you're more about the data stuff.
Said please.
All right, I gotta bounce. Dude, it was great talking to you.
It was really honestly great talking to you too. Thanks for your time, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
And hey, to all your viewers, I mean, like I said, it is one of those things where with every single champion, there's always that like dedicated crew of people. Yeah, they're lobbying for their champion. They love that champion. They want it to be in the best place.
For sure.
Yeah, I just want to say we really appreciate you guys, and I actually love how much you guys love those characters. And I mean, it depends. Different people at Riot engage with the game in different ways. If any of you guys are in high plat, low diamond elo, hopefully I'll see you guys around. And yeah.
Yo, before you go, if you ever find someone that actually want to discuss the balance with me,
ooh, like the specific
like, numbers and the numbers and stuff like that. Tell them I'm open to discussion.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to see if we can get someone.
Yeah, that would be really
that'd
nice.
Be fun.
You could join too. You know, we could do a 3-man call.
The other one I want to do is not discussing balance, but discussing champion design. I really want to get certainly T to go on like Mo's stream.
Welcome to the
and talk about like Yasuo and some of his game design stuff and like.
Sure, that would be nice too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, shout out to Riot. Blaustoise. Is that how you read your name?
Yeah. Well, it's Blaustoise. My last name is Blau. It's blue in German.
Okay.
So
shout out to Riot Blue in German Toys. You can follow him on Twitter if you ever wanna see this man and he's funny memes about data and stuff like that.
Hey,
Yeah, you
thanks,
take it easy, bro. I appreciate
all
it.
right, peace.
Peace. I want you guys to share some of the clips and some of the conversation everywhere if you guys want to get attention, because this conversation is constructive. It's nice, but it's not going to change stuff, all right? So if you guys want to change stuff, clip stuff that are interesting and share them. That's how you guys get Riot's attention. That's how you guys get changement. It is completely up to you and not me and him to make anything happen in the game. It's up to you guys.